Caleb Plant versus Anthony Mundine, going out to Aaron Willoughby. I thank you for your request and for participating in the channel. Let's get into it. Now, this would be a tremendous matchup. Hopefully it takes place at some point. Both guys are entertaining. Both guys are skillful. So let's talk about Anthony Mundine for a second. Anthony Mundine has quick hands. I love the short chopping punches that he throws. But one thing about Anthony Mundine is the guy is a brilliant finisher and puts on a lot of pressure. Once Anthony Mundine has you in trouble, you might as well say goodnight. The fight's over. So brilliant finisher, brutal fighter, puts on a lot of pressure, has good hand speed, and he's just a brawler in there. Caleb Plant, on the other hand, brilliant boxer. His only loss coming against Canelo Alvarez, which is not a huge loss to me. He lost to the best fighter in the world after putting on a brilliant performance. So there's no shame in that in this undefeated, obsessed era. And so Caleb Plant is still a hot prospect, in my opinion. And Caleb Plant is going to have a brilliant career if managed correctly. So we know that he's eyeing a potential rematch with Canelo Alvarez, and I hope he gets it. He deserves it. But I think Caleb Plant could win this fight if he boxes. And if he can box for 12 rounds, if he can move for 12 rounds, if he doesn't slow down for 12 rounds. Plant definitely could not stand in front of Anthony Mundine. He definitely couldn't trade with Anthony Mundine. And I think Anthony Mundine is stronger. So Caleb Plant is the better overall fighter, but Mundine probably has a better chin from what I can tell. No, I'll say that he does. He does have a better chin. And so I can see Mundine coming forward, giving up a few rounds to try to get to Plant. Plant cannot get cornered. It just can't happen. Plant has to keep the fight in the middle of the ring. And I would say Caleb Plant would most definitely have to fight the perfect fight. He'd have to be in tip-top shape. He would just have to be the boxer. He would have to be the counterpuncher. And he would just have to use his head in there. This is not the fight for Caleb Plant to be brave. This is not the fight for Caleb Plant to be the tough guy. Be sweet hands. Be the elusive fighter. Be the pretty boy. Be the showman in there. Make Mundine miss. Make him pay. Make him look bad. Don't go punch for punch. Don't try to show that you're the tougher fighter. Show that you're the better boxer. That's the route that Caleb Plant has to go. And in this fight, Mundine would just have to be Mundine. Keep coming forward. Keep applying that pressure. And just keep Caleb Plant backing up. Cut off the ring. That's the most important. Cutting the ring off against Caleb Plant. You don't want Caleb Plant to have free reign of that big ring. It just can't happen. So Anthony Mundine would just have to be Anthony Mundine, taking the fight to Caleb Plant, going to the body, just hitting him as hard as possible, as often as possible, and just make it a rough, tiring fight for Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant has to be the boxer. He has to be the technician. He has to be the showman. He just has to show Mundine, will make Mundine look bad. Use his speed, use his reflexes, and just each fighter would have to bring the best of themselves in this fight. Hopefully this fight can take place in the near future. It'd be a great fight for the sport, for enthusiasts. So I hope this fight takes place at some point in the near future. I almost forgot about the winner. I think Caleb Plant can pull this off if he does the things that I mentioned. Just stick to his boxing. Just stick to being the technician in there. And Caleb Plant should come away with a decision. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. A lot of times fans will jump on forums just running their mouth. but they don't have a breakdown. They don't have an analysis. It's just how I feel. This is my favorite fighter. This is the old legend. I have nostalgia. And this is especially true in fantasy matchups, hypothetical fights, or potential fights. This is the fighter, with the bigger name. But fans, especially today, can't seem to be objective for anything. I have my own biases, I'll admit, but I do try to make an effort as a boxing head to put on my analyst hat, not my fan hat. And this is especially true in the situations that I just mentioned. Fantasy matchups, potential matchups, hypothetical matchups. Why can't we be objective? Why is it always about our feelings? Why is it always about nostalgia? For example, I was a part of a discussion or a fantasy fight between Usyk and Rocky Marciano. And of course, everyone said Marciano will kill Usyk. Marciano will murder Usyk. Marciano will just walk through Usyk. And then when I gave my breakdown and analysis of why I didn't think that was true, then they hit the laughing response. So then I asked them, what's so funny about what I said? Break it down for me. And I'm okay with people disagreeing, but at least give me a reason from a boxing knowledge standpoint why you think that Marciano would walk through Usyk. Take nostalgia off the table. Take your feelings off the table. Forget about the fact that he's the older fighter or the bigger name or the legend. We're talking about strictly fight night when the bell rings. Both guys in there. And apparently, Rocky Marciano walks through everyone. He walks through Tyson Fury. He walks through Deontay Wilder for the simple fact his name is Rocky Marciano. But they have nothing else. They can't tell me from a boxing knowledge standpoint why Marciano would beat these guys. Not to mention that Rocky Marciano, and this is not to tear down Rocky Marciano, but I'm just trying to get people to be objective and realistic. Marciano was a small heavyweight. These fighters today are giants. So why in the world does Marciano walk through these people? Especially Tyson Fury. And the truth is, it would be an absolute miracle if Marciano made it out of the first round against Tyson Fury. I mean, come on, people. Be real. Just be real. We respect the legends. We respect them for what they did. We respect them for laying the foundation for what we have today. And we respect their resumes. Now, back then, the best truly fought the best. But just look at the styles. Look at the circumstances. The heavyweights today are so much bigger and they are so much more powerful. They're not as flashy. They're not as popular. They're not as marketed as those fighters were back then. I mean, those guys knew how to market themselves and to build their brand. Rocky Marciano is a brand. Muhammad Ali is a brand. Tyson is a brand. Floyd Money Mayweather is a brand. I don't care how you feel about him. Canelo is a brand. But the brand can't fight for you. Your resume can't fight for you. Nostalgia can't fight for you. The fact that you fought 100 years ago can't fight for you. Once the bell rings, it's you, the other guy, and the official. That's it. That's it. That's it. So I just don't know why we can't stop to think about these things. Now, we get in our feelings a little bit. I know I do. But just pause for a second and think. Would fighter A really beat fighter B? How does fighter B beat fighter A? What are some of the tools that they're going to be using? Or what are their advantages and disadvantages going into the fight? And if we are truly boxing heads, we will delve in a little deeper and not just judge off of our feelings. People will get offended at the very fact that someone even made that a fantasy matchup. You'll hear comments like, "Are you high? Why would you make this fight?" Using Marciano and Tyson Fury as an example. It's a total insult to match Tyson Fury against Rocky Marciano. And it's foolish talk. It really is. Because if we can't have a discussion, what's the point of these forums? It's so boring to me just to take the easy way out all the time and to give the easy answer. Why will Marciano beat Tyson Fury? Why would Marciano walk through Usyk? Tyson Fury is twice his doggone size. And you know this. Be honest. Be objective. I'll even say something like, I don't like this, but this is the way that it is. Someone asked the question the other day, would Vitaly Klitschko beat Lennox Lewis in a rematch? And I said yes, and it hurts to admit it because I love Lennox Lewis. Greatest heavyweight next to Muhammad Ali. But the reality is, at that point in Lewis's career, and at that point in Klitschko's career, if they would have had a rematch, Klitschko would have won. Most likely. 9 times out of 10, Klitschko would have won. That's no slam against Lennox Lewis, who happens to be one of my favorite fighters. But you have to look at the circumstances going into the fight, and you just have to look at the realities. So that's how you analyze boxing. I'm not saying I'm always right. I've been proven wrong a few times, but at least I will attempt to give an answer. And so I could go on and on about this, and I'll probably make part 2 of this. But thanks for listening. Have a good one.